Greetings to you wherever you are. I hope this live meets you in good health and in a good state of mind. Okay, today we wanna have a very lovely discussion, a very enlightening one that would answer many questions that many people are afraid to ask, especially those who grew up in the religious organizations. They have so many questions, but there's no one to answer their questions. And so most people, they go along with the narrative, they go along with the masses, and they never really ask certain questions. Also, many people, they never think for themselves. That is why they never ask certain questions. Okay, like for example, this particular day in which I'm bringing this live to you, it is a day that most people refer to as Resurrection Sunday. And they believe a SON, as in a man who they believe did exist thousands of years ago. They believe that this man resurrected, literally speaking, okay? They believe that this man resurrected on a day like this day, which doesn't make any sense at all. But I'm gonna show you a resurrection that they don't want you to know about. A resurrection that they don't want you to experience. A resurrection that has been hidden for ages from the masses. And I hope what I say will help to enlighten you in a way whereby you realize that consciousness is the only reality. In a way that you realize that your awareness is what's going to lead you to your true identity. And your identity can never be found outwardly. Your identity could only be found inwardly. So let's go ahead, and talk about this story that they get the world to believe. The entire world believe in a lie. And they are so blind that they are failing to look around and see that there's nothing new under the sun. And that everything that is happening now, it has already happened before, because there's only now. There's no past and there's no future. There's no such a thing as what they call history. There's no such a thing as time. If there was such a thing as time, I would have break all of those timeline, because I would have gone forward and I would have gone backward. But there's no time. There's only now. Okay. And that is why when you understand that there is no one on this planet has ever existed on this planet that would have died for 3 days and resurrected and come back to life in a physical body. You have to be delusional and real stupid to believe that such a man did exist and there is no more existence of such a man. And I'm going to clarify everything for you if you listen long enough, because there's nothing that I'm going to say in this video that I cannot back up. You see, experience is the greatest teacher that there is. And only he who experience knows. Only he who knows would have had the experience. That is why he who have had the experience would know the fakes. He who have had the experience will know all of the lies. He who would have had the experience, those who have been lying to the masses for centuries, they will want to reach out to that person who they know definitely had the experience to join their cabal, to join their organization and their association, to join the 1%. And they will want to offer you things that you can have without them. You see, the king of Sodom would want to say he make you rich. If you really understand the book of mind science, you know exactly where I'm coming from and where I'm speaking from. You would realize the man who meets Melchizedek after the man refused the offering. Woo! This thing's so sweet. The man, the abracadabra man, the magic man, the man who had many sons and daughters, the man who had many different form of riches. That man refused the gift from the king of Sodom. If you really understand what I'm saying metaphysically and esoterically, if you understand what I'm saying psychologically, then you would realize that it is an everyday story whenever a man discovers his real identity and his divinity, when he understands and discovers his royalty. And he understands his royal bloodline. Through what? A resurrected experience. So this resurrected experience is what would expose all of the lie of some man they tell you who was of Jewish descent. So I'm actually exposing the Jewish lie. Just as they have lied to the masses in this time to start a war of aggression on another nation, to steal the energy infrastructure. Well, I'm saying they continue to do the same thing. They've been stealing your energy infrastructure by infiltrating your subconscious mind with a story of a resurrected man who never existed. But the man who would have experienced the real inner awakening and experienced the true resurrection, he cannot be bought by them. He cannot be bought by their cabal. He is the man who's going to expose that they set up infrastructure all around the world that they call brotherhood. That they claiming that they have a secret. Such a man would realize those who say that they are Jews and are not, and how they use that same narrative to set up people like Candace Owens and many others to make you believe that secular Christianity have any truth in it. And they're writing all these people paychecks and you don't even know. That's why they can't speak the way that I am speaking. You see, they cannot expose Candace Owens and them kind of people. They could say they arguing with this rabbi and all the rabbi. It's just a play. It's just a game. That's why they will always get millions of views, because it's a game. They're playing with the game. All of them playing the game together. A black woman who opens her womb for a Gentile. It's a shame and a disgrace. And the Gentile is playing the game and you the chosen, and make you calling them chosen. And they're defiling your womb, your psychological womb and your spiritual womb, to give you a fake resurrection. You have to be dumb and have a very low IQ. Why do you think that these people declare that they have the highest IQ when it's a damn lie? They have the lowest IQ of all people on this planet. When you understand what it means to have a high IQ, then you will see that they are taking your IQ from you through the political system, the school system, the religious system. That's why they have you marking an X, which represent your energy that they are stealing from you. That's why you will never experience the real resurrection. In other words, in the phallus way, okay, and in the sexual way, they're keeping you impotent. You see, a man being a part of the pornography industry, that's an impotent man. Yeah, he can have a physical erection, but that's an impotent man. And who is behind the pornography industry? Who's behind the OnlyFans industry? The same people who tell you that a man of their descent resurrected after 3 days, after the body gone through nigger mortis or whatever you call it, okay? After it would have rot and so on, which is a damn lie. But you can't know it's a lie unless you have the experience. That's why I put a book together called The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. I'm talking about a secret portal. If you understand that the clitoris is right here, and that clitoris that is right here, remember, as above, so below. The clitoris that is right here is a stargate. That's why I put the book together called The Secret Vagina. But how are you going to exit the stargate? It's through here you're going to exit the stargate. Okay? But it all begins from here. That is why the fake ones will give you this resurrection story and make you think that it's literal and secular history. That is why they join together with America to tell you that America is the land of opportunity, because they're stealing your energy through this gateway by stimulating your mind with false information through repetition. That's how the school system runs in the Caribbean. So through repetition, they program you to bless them when it's supposed to be cursing them. That is why when you read of the man who experienced the Christus resurrection, which is the Christus with the K, talking about what takes place at the base of your spine, the man who has that experience is the man who would declare the real war. And when you read of that man, he called them whitened sepulchres filled with dead man bones. When you read of this state of mind, this state of consciousness, when you realize this melanated Christ of all ages, because it is a melanated energy, because that melanin represents the invisible fluid that runs you up your spine. That if I could really hit you very hard, a certain part in your head, hey, I could activate certain thing, man. So when you hear people on the internet talking, don't bother with them. And all of them pointing you here. Everybody pointing you to the anterior, but not the posterior. But you have the posterior and the anterior. You have the front, you have the back. You have the above, you have the below. Speaking in parables. And so, my brother and my sisters, when you understand the rising of the sun, the sun, and the sun is linked to your melanin. That's why I've been teaching for years the inner sun science and technology to create your reality consciously. And that is why what I'm saying, it will go over a lot of people's head. Because a lot of people have a mindset that just want information. They want knowledge, and they realize that they fail to realize, I should say, that the war that's being fought right now is an information war. Because we live in an information age. And they are jungling you in the flood of information. But there's a real Noah who understands his anatomy and his physiology, his biology and his psychology. And he's carrying an energy of masculine and feminine within. And he has 3 decks, which is the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual. And he's speaking to the entire world. But only those who have the number 9 will be able to unfold the 9-dimensional wisdom that is coming forth. Okay. So, my brother and my sisters, the rising of the sun, the sun, each and every day represent that energy that is within you. It represents that life force that is within you. That must bring you nourishment to bring forth, to act in your creativity. And you cannot act in your creativity if you do not know your royalty, which is actually your divinity. In other words, if you do not know who you are, that is why they are blinding you with a resurrection story. The real resurrection takes place within you. And when you get my book called The Secret Vagina Mystery of the Virgin Birth, you see where I'm coming from. Get that book, read that book. Read that book over and over and over and over, and you'll see how much it starts to bring a change in your life. And then when you read that book, get Spiritual Recipe for Better Living, which is another book of minds, and it start to open up your inner infrastructure. Okay, so when people see the display of America and Israel in Iran, they're failing to see the manifestation of what's been happening inwardly to people all around the world. Their oil infrastructure have been invaded so long that the people, they believe a lie. And they're going to continue to believe a lie. There are people right now as I speak that has gathered in their different churches and their different denominations that actually believe that there was a literal man who existed 2,000 years ago who literally rose from the dead after 3 days. No. You see, when you have the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual experience, and you come to the secret of your oneness, you're at one man, which they refer to as atonement, and tell you have to kill animals and you have to do this and you have to do that, which is a damn lie. When you come at peace with yourself, your higher self I'm speaking about, your true self, your true essence, that's the real atonement. Because true salvation is actually self-realization. So when you start to realize who you are, that is you starting to wake up out of the amnesia and you start to remember. So there's a day of remembrance But they're shifting you from that day of remembrance when you come to self-realization, and they tell you of an entity, a mythical entity that they shape and mold in their image and their likeness, so that you would continue to live your life in self-doubt and self-hate, and you're looking in the mirror and cannot discover the man in the mirror because you do not know who you are. Do you know why they refer to a lot of melanated people as monkey? It's because of their mindset. Because you have to be of a very low IQ level to really believe in that Jesus and Mary story as something that is literal and secular history, and as something that's pointing to look outwardly and to read the Bible and to take it religiously, or to look at it literally and believe in the system, tradition of going to church and listening to the clergy. You have to be of a very low IQ. So when you're dwelling with very low IQ and you believe you know everything, and everything that you think you know is outside of your experience, it's all intellectual. When you live your life at that level, that low level, you're living at the level of the animals. You're living in the realm of the five senses. Everything is based on what you see, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell. You're living at the animal level, okay? So you're vibrating at a very low level. You're living in survival mode. But when you discover the power that you are, when you discover this intelligence of which I speak, then you start to realize that the resurrection, the virgin birth, all these things are actually one event. And the more you start to experience that this is one event, is the more expansion and growth that you would experience in your life. And the more independent you will become of preachers and politicians, you realize that you don't need them. Then you start to speak a different language from the masses. And then they will say that you're stupid, they will say that you're crazy, they will say that you have lost your mind. Why? Because you experience the rebirth. You experience the inner birth. You experience the non-physical birth. You experience a birth that takes place in the skull, starting from the base of your spine. You start to understand the working of alchemy, and you can alchemize your life whichever way you want it to be, because you experience alchemy. You see, a lot of people like to talk about melanin, but melanin is the power to alchemize. That is why when you as a melanated person start to become more self-aware and become more enlightened and so on, that's why they would want you to become a part of the cabal. That's why they would want you to join their brotherhoods. And when you don't join and you're using social media, because social media was designed to control the narrative and control the masses and to control how they think, what they do, how they speak, and all of these things. And when you refuse to join them, they're going to do things to your social media to try to keep down the impact. But because you have already awakened, okay, that would be a blessing in disguise that they're doing for you. Right now, YouTube, what they're doing is a blessing in disguise. But they don't know. So what they meant to hurt, it was for good, for me. And I know where I'm coming from and what I'm saying. Okay. So, the idiot who reached out to me when I started to expose Neville Goddard and the Brotherhood, and when I start speaking truth and so on, and reach out and say, oh, I'm not a troll. I know you're working with YouTube, okay, and challenging me and what I'm saying about AI and what I'm saying about Neville Goddard and so on. You're working on my side. I've had many experiences where people try to do things against me and they were working for me because they do not know what I would have done. Imaginary. Okay, in the imaginal world. You see, this portal right here, this Stargate. Okay. Once that Stargate is open through experience, and let me say this. This is the big difference. I had my experience and not know what the experience was all about, and then attain books and commentary from many other people that bring conformity to me. While on the other hand, the masses, most people in the world, they get information first and then looking for the experience, try to force the experience. In so much that people start to take psychedelic, people start to do all kind of thing, and they get fake awakening and all of these things. And sometimes they want to say, oh, you have the same experience like you know. I'm not trying to be egotistic or anything, but I say, nah, you didn't get this experience, bro. A lot of people think they have this experience, they never had this experience. A lot of people became more aware because, as I said, we are living in an information age. But this experience will definitely teach you about the resurrected, melanated Christ of all ages. It would always teach you about the Christ man of all ages. Then you will understand why Putin went into the vault and bring out a picture and show the world, and it went over their head. The Hebrew Israelite people in America jump up and down and rejoice. They get it wrong. They get the whole conversation wrong. They get the whole language of symbology wrong. And Putin show that to the world in a time of war, knowing what NATO was trying to achieve to Ukraine and knowing what they were going to do in Gaza, in Iran, and the rest of the Gulf Coast. And people who saying, oh, them is master teacher and them is this and them is that, and give the name, give themselves all kind of titles, captain this and this and that. It went right over the head. But Putin was displaying the greatest weapon on this planet that is more powerful than any atomic power. And the people supposed to get it and understand it and understand the language, they miss it. But when the time is right, Putin would be remembered and his people would be remembered. The Ayatollah, what he did when they took over the American embassy and he allowed the children and women and the melanated people to leave, that would be remembered and would always be remembered. But these people that have been doing what they've been doing in the dark for so long, that's why I never compromise. I'll never sell myself short. I will never do that. You see the Epstein class and what they've been doing on this planet? I will never compromise. There's no amount of millions or billions that anyone could give me to keep me quiet or to make me speak otherwise. So my brother and my sisters, what they meant for harm, working out for my good. Everything will always work out for my good. Because why? I explained the true resurrection. Okay, and I know they're resurrected lie. They give the whole world Easter and the whole world buy into that bullshit. And everybody come up with their own teaching and talking about, oh, that was pagan holiday and this was pagan this and this was pagan that. And it's all theory. Everybody theorizing. But when you speak from experience and you stand for truth, you leave a legacy on this planet. Okay, that can never be erased. Everything that I'm doing on YouTube will never be erased. Doesn't matter what they do, it can't be erased. Okay, there comes a time when they ban books by banning certain books. And they've been doing it all the time. That's why my brother and my sisters, go and get The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. Go get that book. Go get Spiritual Recipe for Better Living. Go get that book. How to Turn Water into Wine. Go get that book. All these books were written by me. Waking up at 3:33 in the morning. At that time, I didn't know anything about all of this kind of information they have on the internet. Didn't know anything about numerology. I didn't know anything about all of these kind of knowledge that they have on the internet. That's why when they tell you that God created the world in 7 days, it's a lie. It's in 9 days. And remember, time is an illusion. I'm talking about cycle. 9 cycle. Okay. You see, when you understand the 9 power, your 9 self, then you'll understand your mathematical self. And when you understand your mathematical self, you will understand why they are telling you that 1 + 1 = 2. But they come in wrong again and tell you 1 × 1 = 1. And it doesn't make sense. And then you realize why a woman is 28 days cycle, yet they tell you you have months with 31 days and 30 days and 28 days. If you put 20 together, you're going to realize they have to all use a lie to cover up a lie and use another lie to cover up a lie. So they always keep you in phase 9, telling you about 7 and telling you that creation finished on the 7th day and so on. No. They're leaving out the 8th and the 9th. They're leaving out infinity and divinity, the 8th and the 9th. Because there's where you're going into the invisible. That's why the 8 and the 9 will take you back to 0. That's why the 0 is a circle. And the circle represents the sea. The sea have no beginning, the sea have no end. It's a circle. And the sea is a body of water. And your body is water. Most of your body is water. Just like the earth. Most of the earth is water. So, when you understand your oneness with the planet, you understand your oneness with everything. When you realize that everything intertwines, everything intermingles with each other, you discover your oneness. And when you discover your oneness, you will not be easily deceived or brainwashed. Okay? You will understand the science of the sun that is in you. Okay? And when you understand the science of the sun, the SUN, that is in you, then you will understand the real true resurrection. Because a resurrection and the dawning of a new day is no different. And a resurrection and an erection is no different either. That's why when the process of creation is finished, the soft part between a man thigh, it shrinks. That right in Genesis, you know. Story of Jacob. After he wrestle with God and get blessing. Everything I say in his parables, I still speaking in, you know. You have to learn to read between the lines and go deep to get where I really coming from, you know, and things I really saying. And then he call the place where you get the blessing. He call it pineal. That's why they flood your mind with information. So you just blah, 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 blah. But no experience of your own. Because when you experience your true essence, your true self, which is pure consciousness, which is your non-physical self, when you experience the self of you, you will see the wolves in sheep clothing. And when you see the wolves in sheep clothing, you'd laugh at these wars that they're fighting right now. You laugh at these men who call themselves presidents. You laugh at these men who call themselves supreme leaders and all of these different titles that they give themselves. So my brother and my sisters, The Real Resurrection, get that book of mine called The Secret Vagina Mystery of the Virgin Birth. And the first book I would have put together was this book. It's called Meditate to Eradicate Poverty. And that's the reason why you have to meditate. Because when you discover the cause of poverty in your life, especially as a melanated person, you would see the whole objective and motive behind those who have committed genocide in Gaza, those who would want to censor you on social media for speaking about what would have taken place in Gaza and what have been taking place all around the world. You would realize who set up the police system and reflect itself in a larger way in terms of what they call NATO. You would realize why in the Caribbean they teach you all of these abbreviations like WHO and make you in school use these abbreviations, and you do what we call GK, which is general knowledge, and they do it like a game in school to see who would win and who would lose and who have more knowledge on these things. It's program, they were programming us. You cannot become enlightened and speak on social media without being censored on social media, because you're exposing those who are running social media itself, because they're controlling the language. Whoever control language, control the masses. That's why they've been using propaganda for so many years, when there wasn't even social media and when there was just the newspaper and the television stations bringing the news. And you get the same news over and over. Everyone now who have eyes to see can clearly see Fox News and CNN and all of these propaganda outlets. Because why? The real resurrection has been taking place all the time. But when you become fully resurrected, then you would know as I said earlier, that an erection and a resurrection, they're no different. You going to bed and you are waking is no different. The sun going down, which is the sun setting and the sun rising, it's no different. You will realize the dawning of a new day would have taken place in your life. You not have the old mindset anymore. You break the old programming. You're experiencing a paradigm shift. And then they're going to call you stupid, they're going to call you crazy, they're going to say you lost your mind. Because why? You're experiencing the real resurrection. That's why the man, the fake man that they give you of 2,000 years ago, that's why they can never tell you if he ever had an erection. They could never tell you if he did love man or if he did love woman. They can't tell you if he was impotent or if he was gay. That's why these preachers on the pulpit, when you think they love women, they love men. Ask Eddie Long, T.D. Jakes, and many others. Ask this guy that sing, I forgot his name. Even Kirk Franklin looks 65. But this guy was trying to remember his name. Danny McClurkin, all these kind of men. So, my brother and my sisters, don't make them fool you with Easter. Don't make them fool you and tell you that today is like Resurrection Sunday and all that. No, every day is Resurrection Sunday. Every day is Sunday. You can't have a day without the sun. Okay? So, my brother and my sisters, I really want to thank you very much. I'm going to read the comment, okay, and react to these comments. Okay, someone said hi. I'm saying hi to you also. Okay, someone said, what's up, brother? How are you doing today? I'm doing great as usual, always. I'm doing great. Okay. I'm always in the mindset whereby I am grateful for who I am in terms of knowing that I am divine. Knowing that I'm just having a human experience, not by words, but by my experience and my actions. That's why I can't be bought and sold by social media and their comrades. So when you see people looking like me and they're trying to teach spirituality and so on, and you see them knocking head with certain people, you know they sell out. I don't even want to call the name. But let me just interject to say this, okay? Just this morning I saw a short video. And I know a lot of these things, they've been put together and everything. They don't reach out and say, oh, I'll be at this place, so you meet me here and so on and all of that. Okay? And I would always be speaking about this guy that runs School of Hard Knocks. Okay? And how he always asks the people, are you a Christian and do you believe in God and believe in Jesus Christ and so on? And you see, when you're awakened, you realize certain things. You see, for example, if a person asks me that question, I'll say yes and no. Everybody will say yes. And nothing wrong with them saying yes. It's how you interpret their yes. Okay? And how you unfold what they say afterwards by you understanding that is a coded language they're using. Because English is a coded language. And if you can't decode them, you'll never get it. So, they already script this thing where you're going to say, sir, how are you able to afford this Rolls Royce? I was a black man, and the black man said, no, not me, it's her. Pointing at the woman. And the black woman started talking about how poor she was, and so on, and food stamp, so on, and then he going to come in now and talk about, do you believe in God and Jesus and all of that? And then she going to say, well, my mother never even taught me anything about God, and never went to church, this, that. So right there, they're pushing the church, okay? If you thinking that's not what they're actually saying, okay? But there and then she come to know and she figure it out. I'm telling you the thing. I'm telling you the truth. This cannot be figured out. That's why you know these people, they're all part of one cabal. Whatever they join or whatever they belong to, they're all part of this one cabal. You understand? And they had a thing where set up where they can't trick certain people. Okay. And so she's saying, oh, no, she know the Lord Jesus Christ and this and that and all of that. And she finally end up and she figure it out. No, this is not something you figure out. You see, when these people approach you and they give you books to read and encourage you to join their cabal and so on, they give you knowledge in terms of information. So what they're doing, they're actually putting the cat before the horse. How do I really know that? How I know these things? I show you exactly how I know these things. Remember, as I tell you, I had my experience before I had any knowledge or book knowledge. And then when I started to seek the internet with this great phenomena with the experience, okay, this thing that tells me this is all the way back to Egypt, this is what the great Egyptians spoke about and all of that. When I had that rebirth experience, then start to push me to this thing. And then people start listening to me speak and say, brother, I know you read this book. I know you read that book. I know you read this book. You read that book. And I say, thank you for the info. Thank you for the info. And then I go and get that book. I get that book. I get that book. And then when I start to get these books, then I start to find out these men who wrote these books, they put them up there in a high place and say some of them were mystics, some of them were philosophers, scientists, some was great, this and that. And I find there was a chain. None of these men look like me. None of them men are melanated. And I started asking my question, how could all these great men just be these kind of people alone? Even the man who they deceived the world when I say this man turn water into wine and this man walk on water, he ain't melanated either. So your IQ have to be real low to get all this kind of information I'm sharing here. And you still saying Jesus saves and Jesus coming soon and Jesus coming to save you. You have to be dumb. And then you deserve to be called a monkey. So my brother, my sisters, how I come to know these things? That's why I'm telling you, experience the greatest on this planet. So who are yap. There's a lot of yappers on the internet. What they do, they use social media to create yappers. You think social media is easy? I use the social media, but I tell you, social media is using 99.999% of the people. That's why everybody talk about, oh, go do your research. What kind of research you could do for experience? When you do research and Google and so on and all of that, it's all of people's mind. But all the minds are connected together. And when you really understand that through your experience, you think they could stop you? When they demonetize you, try to stop him and get AdSense or try to stop your work from going all day, they can't stop you. When you get the real resurrection, they can't stop you. You open up a Stargate, you open up a portal that's inside of you. You open up your magnetic and your electrical self, they can't stop you. The last thing they try to do is kill you. They kill this body, but they can't kill the real you. So when you really say, destroy this temple and build it back up in 3 days, they fool you, man. Say, destroy this body, build it back up in 3 days. When you understand your spiritual self and know that you are actually a real spirit having a human experience, when you know, I'm not talking about intellect now, when you really know, and you know everything starts from spirit, you start over because you destroy this temple. I build it back, man. I understand the 3 level. You understand? I will go back to spirit and come back as I please. You understand what I'm saying? So it wasn't no man who walked out of an empty tomb, bro. Whenever you exit this here, let me smooth it down, man. Whenever you exit this skull, you understand Golgotha? Wait for the wind to calm down a little bit. You understand Golgotha? Yeah, man, this is Golgotha mountain. You see, all of your organs in your body represent different parts of up here. From up here And every part, I organs connect back to some part up here. Everything. And then there's the stargate, the portal to the spiritual. So they'll teach you about all the different organs of your body and so on and all of that. There's eye and nose and throat doctors and so on and all of that. People could look at you and tell you what happened to you and so on. Okay? But there's a part of you that connects with the ether. There's a part of you that connects with the spiritual. There's a part of you that connects with the non-physical. Okay? The metaphysical I'm speaking about. Yeah, there's a part of you that is that of the alchemist. So my brother, my sisters, don't make people trick you. Okay? Like my boy who always asks the question, they believe in God. Okay, school of hard knocks guy. You have an agenda, okay? The his paycheck he chases all the way back to Israel. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I know I said, you know. These people running social media. That's why they can't take people like me. That's why. I don't kiss ass. I speak the truth. You see, when you read the story of whether you want to say Yahshua, you want to say Jesus, whichever name, when you come to that state of mind, and I understand that was a state of mind, state of consciousness, it was what a thorn in the side of the Jews. You know, be a thorn in their side. Yeah. You think Iran and all of these places and things is thorn in their side? No. You'll be more of a thorn in their side because look, for example, if the people start using their voice and start cursing them, they're gonna fall like crazy. When they tell you that they went around the wall 7 times, the wall of Jericho and the wall of Jericho fall by their voice. Why you think they do like a melanated people voice? They do. You see, that's why I am against interracial marriages, you know. Because you can't be yourself as a melanated person. You can't laugh too hard. You can't talk too hard. They tell you too loud and so on. Is the power of your words? Is the power of your voice? They're afraid of it, you know. They're afraid of it, you know. You can pull down all the walls, man. But only if the people are weak. But only people being so dumb and stupid and believe, but oh, this is Resurrection Sunday, and they believe some later on man resurrect after 3 days, and you live in the world and you never see nothing resurrect after 3 days. Literally speaking. You never see no man come back to life. Then they bring a bunch of near-death experience and tell you a bunch of shit. And flood your mind with a bunch of bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. Okay? That's why these people, you make these people tell you, but they have IQ up there. And you have IQ down there. No. They don't want you to raise your IQ. Okay? Because the real resurrection, when you get a real resurrection, man, your IQ gone to another level. Okay, someone say, yeah. Let me read another person comment. Okay. Someone say, what going from Ireland? Happy. Gone with that Easter bullshit, man. Fucking Easter. The only Easter I know of, the Easter is the energy star that is in you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying, language, you know, some people can use the language and they know what it's all about. Some people can use language and they don't know what it's all about, and so on, okay? And that's the star talking about all the time. Okay, the E, that is the energy, man. The star body. Stand up and put your hand on your hip at the base of your spine there, man. That's the symbol that they have on the flag. Talk about Star David. Come on. Okay, someone says here, one love, brother. One love to you too. Someone say big up, brother, from Guyana. Okay, big up to the people in Guyana. But you see, the people Guyana sold themselves to America with the oil. America control Guyanese oil, and then they tell them, oh, you have the fastest selling passport now. Yeah, but if there's a president or prime minister in Guyana that really stand up to really educate the people, they want to take him down. The CIA will want to take him down. Yeah, man. Someone say Jesus Christ is not gay. Okay. I think this message a little bit too deep for that person, maybe gone over the head. Okay. If Jesus Christ wasn't gay, why is the name of the woman he was fucking if he did exist? If you want to get in a conversation, let we go. Let's go. The Jesus Christ did exist as the man they give you. The Jewish idol they give you. Let's have a talk. Was he a pedophile? Because a lot of them are pedophile. Was he of the Epstein class? You see, there's a lot of cowards on the internet. They love to hide behind a keyboard. You see I'm showing my face? That's why I'm always saying to people, if you want to talk, get me on a Zoom call. Okay, and I'm going to post it up. I ain't doing nothing, no secret. I ain't hiding nothing. Someone say, big up, brother. Okay, daddy brother from Guyana. Then he's saying LOL now. Okay. Someone say, yes, Eddie Long and TD Jakes, gay as hell. And nothing wrong with man who want to be gay, because it's only reflecting to you that you're straight. You see, my brother and my sister, it's very important to understand the law of opposite, which is the law of polarity. When you understand the law of polarity and you really master the law of polarity, okay, you realize how much you don't need the clergy. You don't need to be a Democrat, a Republican, conservative. You don't need to get yourself involved in politics, because it's tricks. It's all tricks. That's why they're stealing your energy. You're giving your energy away to them. Okay? Yeah. Then the same person who talking about Jesus not gay and so on and all of that, and can't really say what Jesus really is, if he did exist, then he's saying every day is resurrection. Okay? Well, if every day is resurrection, you tell us about your resurrection story. I would like to hear your resurrection story. Okay? Other than that, it's just theory. I'll send it all in the same video. Every day is resurrection is Sunday. They can't be a day without the sun. Like the same person says here. Let me see if I can pronounce the Forge Miracle Band, man. He says there's power in Jesus Christ. There's no power, brother. Jesus Christ have nothing to do with man-made religion. You don't know what you're talking about. There's no power in the name of Jesus Christ. Okay? Anyone who experience the Christ consciousness would know. Calling on any entity named Jesus Christ, you understand, is you brainwashing and deceiving your own self. Okay? That's why I say they have a bunch of people with fake knowledge, so they don't know what they're talking about. There has never been no man who existed thousands of years ago named Jesus Christ. There has always been a Christ consciousness. It's a state of consciousness, it's a state of mind through an experience. And it is the highest experience of all. It represents the eye above the pyramid, which I'll be speaking about in my next life after I finish this one. So, Forge Miracle, man, if you want to get something and you're willing to learn, then you could tune into that one and keep your comment as one who wants to learn and not one who thinks he knows. Okay? Because real self-realization is you basically going to realize how much you do not know. Because when I get my awakening experience, that's when I start to realize how much I do not know. That's why I am exposing these systems that have been keeping me blind since I was a child. Okay? It kept my parents blind too. You know, I remember quite vividly as a little boy, every person in the school was crying that particular day when they weren't going to vaccinate us as little children. Our parents were so fucking dumb. They were so dumb. And many of them are still so dumb, they didn't even know what was going on. And every child in the school was crying. Every time I look at my shoulder, I remember that's why none of my children have been vaccinated and would ever be vaccinated again. Never. They would never be vaccinated. That's why all of these religious people like to talk about Jesus and all of that. They've been vaccinated as big men and women in the big scam them, plan them, and they want to tell you shit because why? They're feeders on this planet. All they do eat, sleep, shit, and repeat and talk shit. When they open their mouth, all they do is talk shit. Then he say, oh, Jesus Christ ain't good. Then he come back and talking about Jesus Christ is a consciousness. A consciousness? Anybody could say that. You never experienced that. I can tell you never experienced that. But I glad when people come on and they chat. Okay, because many times these people, you know what I mean, they're chose. Because anyone who have listened to me, they will know, right? And then I am showing that I am Christ in flesh. I am the real Yahshua in flesh. And any man who deny that Christ is come in the flesh is antichrist. So you can't come in with this Jesus shit they give you. That's why I take Jesus out of the Bible. And I leave a blank space for you to write your name, which is I am. Go get my Bible, the 66 books of magic. And actually Neville too. Neville Goddard, which many people on the internet build their foundation around Neville Goddard. You just have to understand the game and just know how to play the game. Okay? Then you say, you see how much he talking? See how much he commenting? But thanks for the comment. All these books is made by man. So we know the Bible, everything come from man. But there's no difference between man and God. So what is your point? God is man and man is God. The mouth of God is the mind of man, and the mind of man is the mouth of God. There's no other God. So what are you saying? Vouch miracle ban man. Then he say, I am. You're not Jesus Christ. You never had any experience. You. I am telling you that. Then someone saying here, you are not the Christ. I know I am. I know that I am Christ in flesh. I am believe, I am think so. I know. Then I'm not even gonna read anymore his comment because I know that person just a troll, right? He trying to be me. So he trying to say I am who I am. I am Jesus Christ. No. You trying to usurp something that I never experienced. Okay, you're making a fool out of yourself. Okay, and I'm not gonna entertain you. Somebody say remember that in SVG still have scars on my arms from young. And this is someone who grew up in the same country like me. Okay? Yeah, he still had a scar, on my left shoulder. It always angers me. Okay? That's why, I would never allow my children to be vaccinated. Under no circumstances I would allow that. Okay? I'd rather die a free man than die a slave. Many people are willing to die slaves. Okay? They give them a Hollywood contract, give them this, give them that, and they're willing to die a slave. Okay? Frederick Bartholomew says also here, and it's still going on like the minds, they never change. No, most people don't like change, okay? And that's why our people been kept so long in mental slavery. But it's time to free yourself, okay? And understand that the true resurrection, it takes place inwardly and not outwardly. That's why I'm saying go and get my book called The Secret Vagina, Mystery of the Virgin Birth. And also you can get this book. This is my first book that I would have written, okay? Meditate to eradicate poverty, okay? You see, when you really understand meditation, you understand the portal here, okay, at the gateway, you call it, if you want to call it a stargate, whatever. When you really understand it, you could call it a hologram, whatever you want to call it, okay? And you understand we live in a holographic universe, okay? For example, you want to do like an experiment, you can go by a moving gate, that moving slowly, and park your car on the outside and see what would happen. Just stay right in the car. You see what would happen. Or you can sit in a car, okay, and let another car come right next to you and move backwards slowly, very, very, very slowly. And you see what experience you will have. You get a little bit of example I'm talking about, okay? Let me just read these comments and then I'm gonna end this live because I'm gonna be on another live. I don't wanna go too much over an hour, okay? Someone say, LOL, they still back in the days singing Mary had a little lamb. LOL. Yeah, they do. Everything that I experienced as a boy, and what my mother and my grandmother and my grandmother, mother, and so on, they still do it in the schools in the Caribbean. It's sick. It's a sickening thing. Okay, the politicians are sick. The fucking preachers are sick. The people are sick. Don't wonder why they just keep bringing in what they call investors, which are actually slave owners to own them by their hotel like sandals and all of these things. Have the people singing song. When the guests come in, they have them like a bunch of monkeys singing a song, a certain song. I would have to get a clip of it and show you. Oh gosh, man, I almost cried when I saw it. These monkeys singing song for these guests leaving, and that place was a plantation. It was a slave plantation owned by the Punnets. That's why up to this day they own most land down in that area. These Punnets, white people. Yeah. And they are singing song before they leave and after they leave. And before Sandals erected there, it was called Bukomembe Resort. And I wrote a book called Bukomembe Resort and the Messenger. I worked there. I used my manpower to work there as a trainer. And when they started employing people, they never did employ any black trainer there first. And I got in there. And before, when they was building the resort, I said, I'm going to work there as a trainer. And I worked there as a trainer. And I walk off of that job. I told them, I'm not an indentured servant and I don't have a slave mindset, and I leave there. And when I went home, I said, whatever I have to do, it come to me. I'm not leaving this house and looking for no job, and I'm working with nobody. And something came to me right in the home. And I said, I'm not leaving this house until I get a message that states that I must come and sign the paper to take over the building, the part of the building, because a massive building there and that area there. And then the person come and say, why I'm not coming? They send the message to me and I went. So I know what I'm talking about. But may they fool you. And they have these people, as I come to a close here, right? Yeah, they have these people in the island, Sandals, have them singing song when the guests coming and when the guests leaving. I'll have to get a clip of it and show you for yourself. Where see for yourself, man. And I like to see monkeys and slaves. I see plantation. I tell you, it moved my heart. It's like I want to cry, man. People so sick, and the people were trying to hate me. Yes, that's how the people stop. That's how they are. That's how fucked up the people in the islands' minds are. So when people want to talk about church and God and Jesus, fuck that. Bullshit. If after 2020, with a big pandemic, you ain't wake up, man, something wrong with you. I remember in time of the pandemic, I was doing a bunch of videos showing you this single light. That's why I'm a next live. Just as I leave this one, I'm going on the next one, talking about the single light. I the only man I ever see do this say first. Then I see something. I gotta talk more about it. Yeah, and Barber Black Sheep, yeah. Blah Black Sheep have many holes. Yeah. Up to this day, they are the children still saying it. And it's a mockery of our people, and they don't know it. Someone say weird. Someone say that place turned to a mess. Okay. Yeah, book remember result and the message. Yeah, get that book too. Okay, that's where I spoke, I foretold about what would happen after David Ames. Check out who David Ames. I think he's in jail now in America, but not for what he done in my country. You know. Politicians allow him to go free. Even me they owe because they didn't pay my taxes. They said I was taking out the money for the taxes for the NIS and they never paid it. But I think it was 2012 I walk off that job. Yeah. Let's see what was going on down there. You know what I mean? Someone say, yeah, they turned to a mess, but they rebuild in the time of the big scamdemic, Sanders already done reaching the region. When people thinking about COVID and all of that, Sanders done reaching the region, then decided it was going to open in in 2023. Because they know this thing would have done in 2022. They already would have known. You know, building more and more resorts and so on in the islands in the time of COVID, you know. If you go and do your own check for your own self, do a research for your own self. You see a lot of hotels were built in a lot of the different islands and so on in the time of the pandemic because men were getting more and more richer and they were building more and more and more and more infrastructure in the islands to continue to own these slaves. They're slaves. They make you stay from the school. Okay? That's why you have to understand the resurrection story from someone like me who had the experience. Okay, someone say, oh yes, true, that place was shit. Okay? They say yes, they think it's normal. That's not, someone say that's not in Simmons. Of course it's in Simmons. Okay? It's in Simmons and the Grenadines. That's why you have the Bukumembe Resort and that's where you have Sanders right now. I think the guy in here is or Adam Stewart, something like that. They destroy Jamaica, take over Jamaica and control Jamaica, and where they use charity. Oh, they put in the newspaper now, Sanders doing this, Sanders doing that. No, what they do, they just have a show for the workers, you know. Yeah, they just have a monkey show for the workers in them. Yeah, and the workers, the people, if people hear me say this, then they're angry with me because why? They're in survival mode, so they think Sanders providing them with money and dollar, and they know they could provide their own self with money. They're born with a gift on this planet. Everybody born with a gift, bro. If they realize that thoughts become things, if they realize how powerful their words are, if they realize the power of their mind, they do the same thing with ease. Someone, let me just read this thing and then I'm gonna definitely come to close. Someone say, what manifestation books you have, brother? I'm looking to slowly pull away from this system. Meditate to eradicate poverty. That's a manifestation book. How to turn water into wine. That's a manifestation book. How to open the floodgates of abundance. That's a manifestation book. All of my books are manifestation books. Spiritual recipe for better living. All of them manifestation books. If you don't quite understand them, you could all tend to a one-on-one. Maybe you could reach out to me. Okay? I show you to open up all the energy centers. Okay? You could create your own world. You're the only creator there is. There's no creator on the outside. There's no God in the sky. Don't make them fool you. You're the only God there is. But they want you to deny that you are creator. You're shutting down your creative centers when you do that. It's all about understanding your anatomy, your physiology, your biology, your psychology. It's all about that. Uniting them together. Okay? The love oneness, divine oneness. Once you understand that, then you start to master those things. You see, that's why people destroy for lack of knowledge. Okay? You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So you can't know truth outside as you know who you are. You can't find truth outside of yourself, you know, bro. That's why I'm pointing to look within. So if you want a conversation, you want to do one-on-one, you can reach out, let me know. Okay, you could email me. Someone say, I heard they get back tax-free for life. No, nobody never get back no tax thing in this country from where David Ames and maybe I understand what they're saying, but for example, like in my country, I have a place in the Grenadines called Mustique, and they have Mustique company where they claim that the people own lease the land, and all these billionaires they run away from paying taxes all over America and other parts of the world, and they come down to Mustique, and they have the people like slave working with them, and the people who work with them believe, well, oh, you know, I could live a better life because I'm making good money at Mustique and all, and these things. And there's only one man who would call himself a politician in this country that said he was going to tax the rich in Mustique. A man named O'Neill, but he died. Okay? And the people in the country laugh at him. The people in my country still so blind that they want a light-skinned man to always rule over them. They don't want the dark-skinned man that look like them to rule over them. They had one dark-skinned man two dark skinned man, I think, and both of them they die rather poor because they were real politicians. Was looking out for the welfare of the people. There's Joshua. Okay, he was first like minister, and then after Joshua, and that was the oppressors who put he in there. You understand? And then he was governor, I think, and then they had Milton Keto. All they do the name a building hospital called Milton Keto Memorial Hospital, and then there was an airport. They shut down the airport. They called it Joshua Airport. They shut that down. Just your fucking name and I think no, leave real legacy. Leave real legacy. Like speak out against these kind of empires just like me. Let me just read these and then done. Someone say SVG mess up because they only focus on the Grenadines and the mainland for years is shit. I wouldn't really agree with that because that is if you're speaking about what they call tourism, which I call tourism. Okay, and the Grenadines been invaded by a lot of Caucasian people, especially Bekwe, and so on. So I'm not gonna say that because to develop the mainland and so on is not to develop tourist um, attraction and develop hotels and all. That's not what I need. What I need is minds that are awakened and enlightened, people who are fully educated, because a fully educated person is a person who knows to go within himself and draw out from within. He's not a person who go to a university and so on and all of that. We're not supposed to be dependent on no tourism. It's all bullshit, okay? So by telling you, I think I disagree with you on that, okay? I've noticed Grenada way better off than SVG needs to wake up big time. No, Grenada is no better either. See, bro, you still have some waking up to do. Grenada is worse, okay, than people in Simmons. People in my country have more liberty to live off of the land than anyone else. They have more liberty to live off the land than anyone else. We are the only island right now you can go and get provision like sweet potatoes, banana, plantain. You get them by the heap. All these other countries, they buy them by the pound. The only thing what it needs in this country is minds like my mind. And this is not me being egotistic or anything like that. That's all it needs. Once the people start to realize how the banking system have been keeping them down, through, first of all, the school system that have been set up a certain way, and the school system being kept through the political system, and the political system being kept through the plantation system. That's why they just go to why that's why they have a governor general and they have a government house where they just go and they just swearing under the crown and all of that. And the crown, which you think is England, you could trace it all the way back to the fake people in Jerusalem, in Israel, who is actually the mind or the brain behind all of it all to enslave the world and keep the people enslaved. And once you start to break it from there, you go to the cause. Everything is based on cause and effect. And I'm hitting it, I'm going straight right to the root. So the belief system, Grenada had the same belief system, Antigua, all the worst. Those people in the deeper shit. Don't talk about people in Barbados. They're more deeper shit than anything ever. All these people all these people call themselves tourists. All they have to do is stop, go to Barbados. So by telling me, update yourself, man. You get more updated. And then you understand where I'm coming from. The worst. Right now, people is in a better position. That's why the less so-called investors and resorts and fucking hotel they build in this country, better for the people, but they can't see it. If you take a hotel, like come, take a trip and come down and go to the other islands. You see, we only people could go and get a heap, a Edos, a heap, a Dashin, a heap of sweet potato. We the only island you could take $5 and buy a bag of potato. Take $5 and buy sweet pepper. Take $5 and buy carrots. Take $5 and buy $5 will give you about 2 or 3 coconuts, dry coconut. In Trinidad and those places, you buy those things by the pound. Ripe bananas. This is the only country you might get a hand of ripe banana for $5. You might get one banana for 50 cents. You might get one for 75 cents, and then you have some other greedy people want to sell a banana for $1. And most of the time, people don't buy from those people. You have to come to see how the kind of liberty people have down here, and they're running away, going to America, China, England, and fooling themselves, and then live like slaves in those countries. Man, I said I was gonna come to because I definitely come to because I would talk whole day. So, but telling you, you have to come again and really check out what's going on. Go Grenada, go all of those places, and come here, and you will see what happens. In Grenada, they have to buy these things by the pound. Pumpkin. We don't buy pumpkin by the pound. I buy a half a pumpkin yesterday, $10. $10. A half. And see, when you're in tune to and you move by spirit, you know, you go and get the right people, right thing. I sometimes just go people and I don't smooth their whole atmosphere and get things my way. Without even trying to pressure them and whatever, tell them anything about their price. I just been led. Says, I see, say, wow, had no clue they make it seems SVG behind. No, SVG no behind, no, they fool you. Most of the people that leave this country to go to other countries to say they live and still they're looking for better life, they are no asset to the country, you know. They're liabilities. They're liabilities, I know I'm telling you about. They're the ones that normally run from this country. Man, this country is the land of opportunity. You know the opportunities there. I'm so grateful for the people who came from, some people who come from Cuba and Venezuela and so on, and making their life a good life here. And then the puppet government, and the pressure they might want to send back these same people. Just this week I was having conversation. I was showing my girl how Castro, how he empower his people concerning the body. That's why there's so much doctors and dentists and these kind of people, and they always deal with the human body. And I was showing how these people in Cuba could go any part of the world and they can get a job because they're skilled people, while we are telling our people to go to school and get freaking education, which is fake education. Just this week I was having the discussion with her. And show that when the people leave Cuba and so on and all of that, they don't come here to beg. They ain't come here to look for a job, because they come with a skill. They come with something to offer. But when people here leave St. Vincent and they go to America and Canada and England, most of the time they have nothing to offer. They can't even keep the accent that they have. The way how they speak, they can't even speak that way. They want to speak like some Yankee. When Jamaicans still speaking like Jamaicans, Trinidadians still speaking like Trinidadians, Barbadians still speaking like Barbadians. If I was to leave my country and go to America, and there is a Trinidadian in America, a Barbadian, even a freaking Guyanese, you know that they come from these parts. But our people, it's a Yankee, and they come down here and pretend, and they always try to downplay this country. You know how much people I chant already who come to this country and try to talk about the country with the Yankee talk, and I put them in the place? Plenty. I remember one time I meet a woman and she making comment about this country, and she been like in England, and I start with she, man, she run. So this country is not behind. The only thing behind it is the people mindset. You have more people in the country need to read books. They only just read book when they go to school. After that is job, walk. And everybody believe, oh, I can buy this car, I can buy this vehicle. I look like I have I'm doing better than this person by getting this vehicle and getting that vehicle. That's how they live. So the only thing that's certain about this country is consumerism, which means if the people been educated and been really taught, well, yeah, that's all. You say, wow, yeah. If the people in this country focus more on agriculture, man, with tourism, pitch their ass away. Agriculture. Someone say, yes, true, I went all country around January time. Very true. Okay. And then he says that also very true. Yeah. So I'm telling you, if look, my country, let me just say this and then I close. If the politician was willing to let the people in my country grow marijuana fields, okay, without the government trying to control the marijuana fields, our country could be the biggest exporter in the Caribbean for marijuana. St. Mary's and the Grenadines could be the biggest export country to export marijuana if politicians, certain people in my country who own, people who is lawyer, people who is politicians and so on, is who own the fields. And people who have some sort of string pull here, a string pull there, running the fields. But if they make it the main crop in the country, we could supply the whole Caribbean with marijuana. Okay, so my brother and my sister, agriculture is always the backbone of any economy. Don't make nobody fool it. Not tourism. So my brother and my sister, I really want to thank you all very much for listening and for commenting. Check me out on another live. Okay, it's almost an hour and a half. It's an hour and 26 minutes I spent on this live. I didn't want to stay so long. Just wanted to do an hour. Okay, because I have a lot of other things to do. But check me out on the other live where I'll be speaking about the single eye. Okay, the real eye of God that they don't want you to know about. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I just want to say peace. Love you all. Out. Check me out on the other live, Black Math Guru. Check me on that live. Okay. In 2 or 3 minutes, I'll be on. Okay. Peace.